I've been following you for so long. I don't know if you remember me. I met you at Vayner last year. I was on the 1:37 p.m. podcast, and I ran into you in the bathroom, and we got a selfie in the bathroom, and I gave you a copy of my newest book at the time. And I've been following you for so long. You've been so inspirational in my success. And just a little bit about me is I'm a former convicted felon. Fitness saved my life when I was incarcerated, and I've since been on a mission to help others use their adversities to their advantage through my content, speaking, coaching, books, and my Adversity Advantage podcast. And I know that you believe adversity is the foundation for success.
I do.
And my question for you is, what was the hardest time you have gone through as an entrepreneur, and what types of things did you do in that situation to use that adversity to your advantage?
The truth is, Doug, probably the hardest point I've ever had as an entrepreneur was towards the tail at probably somewhere around probably around 2005, when I was on this mission as a kid to build this big business for my dad and my mom. And I owned none of the business. I was massively growing the business, but I was getting paid very little because it's a family business. I understood. But I basically had my 22 to 34, I had a job and I was grossly underpaid because I was running the business. And towards the end, I struggled with that. I started to, I think it's fair to say, resent. It's tough to build something from 3 to 60 million, make 70, 60, 40, through the years, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80,000 instead of what somebody else would be doing. If I wasn't my dad's son, I'd be getting paid $1 million or $2 million a year. So I lost twice on paper. I didn't own the business. I knew I was a superstar. I looked like a loser because I was working for my dad. That's just how people looked at it. I was okay with most of that because I didn't give a fuck about the outside, but I was starting to resent because I'm like, I'm fucking building this. I don't own this. And then after all that, I go start zero and I start building something again. And then people are shitting on me of like, oh, you took daddy's money. They don't know my story.
Right. I think so many people, you're right. So many people will judge somebody based on the surface level stuff, and they don't see the back end. They don't see the climb. They just see you at the top, and they're like, that guy had it handed to him, but really they don't see the hard work you put in.
Bro, fuck hard work. I got the reverse of handing to me. I handed shit to people and then started over. Like, bro, I've got real fucking feelings about this. Because people try to use the fact that my dad had a business. My dad had a $3 million a year business, 3.8 actually, to be fair to him, but it was making $380,000 in gross profit, and then that was before expensive. It was a small business. Like I get paid more in 2 speeches than my dad was taking home. But my dad came here with nothing.
Right.
Like zero. It's insane what he accomplished. Man didn't speak English in 1978, owned his own store in 1983. Late 78. So like he killed it. But bro, that doesn't take away from, like, you're asking me my struggle. My struggle was I fucking demolished it, but didn't get the personal financial value from it. Then started a new business and gave 50% of that business to my brother on day one because we're partners, and struggled with that because I was driving more of the business. Like my biggest struggle has been my whole career. I've been in family businesses where I was the fucking number one, but my financial ramifications for being the number one was nowhere close to being justified for what I deserved. And I'm so grateful for my wiring that I love my brother and my dad more than I care about the dollars. And I was able to get through. And it's all good, but I hate when I'm trying to help people win that people try to throw around that I was handed something, handed something to get to where I got to, when in reverse, I've been handing out and still am here.
Yeah. And I think it goes so much into what you do now and how much free content you give away to help other people. And
it's what I'm doing now, bro.
Right.
Bro, I should not be telling anybody about what I believe in sports cards and Pokemon cards. I could be gathering that all for myself. Big shout out to Kahuna, who I just saw in the comments. Patrick, I know you know what's going on with the sports cards because of Anthony. You better get fucking serious. But like, bro, it's my nature. I'm my happiest when I'm giving.
Yeah, amen to that. And like the last thing I want to ask on that is, why do you think so many people make their struggles like worse? I believe that like when we hit hard times, we have a choice. So we're either going to use it to our advantage or we're going to make matters worse. Like, why do you think people just sit in the struggle and struggle even more?
DNA, parenting, circumstances, you know, your parents, siblings, and your 3 to 7 best friends, and then a coach or a teacher or a grandparent. Like, there's 17 people that shape you.
Right.
There's 1 to 17 people that shape you. Who that is a huge factor. I was shaped by my mom, the most positive, loving, supportive, self-esteem building, but with rules and fucking discipline and like no bullshit and no 8th place trophies. I'm the byproduct of that. Then I go into my dad at 14. The guy's completely like lying as the devil and like sucks bullshit out of me from 14 to 8. You know, I'm the byproduct of that. I also like didn't speak English when I'm 5 in Dover, New Jersey. I don't even bring up Dover. We lived there for a year. I always say we went from Queens to Edison. I've always wondered this. I'm like, why don't I bring up Dover? We were there for a year before I went to Edison. It was a quick stop. Is it because I got picked on so much that kids would hand me like, I'll never forget the 4 kids in the neighborhood, 1980. I was 5 and a half. And they're like I remember it vividly right now. They literally forced me to drink this Pepsi can. I didn't want to because I knew something bad because I could feel the energy, but I drank it because I was getting bullied and they peed in the Pepsi can. Like, you know, I was bad at school. I wasn't good at sports. I lost my entire 18 years of my life. It didn't seem that way because I had a good personality. I was happy. I had friends, but the world wasn't telling me, outside of my little fucking cocoon of my own fucking head and my sister and my mom before AJ came because he's 11 years younger than me, the world was giving me no indication that it gave a fuck about me. And so for me, it's really easy not to give a fuck because they didn't give a fuck about me first.
Absolutely. I love that. And I appreciate your time. One bonus question is, I know a lot of people right now are struggling to kind of break through and get their message out there. Other than content, what would be like one quick tip for people that
Doug? Content is how Gandhi broke through. Content is how Martin Luther King broke through. Content is how Hamilton broke through, and Tupac and Jay-Z and fucking Hank Aaron. Like, it's only content. Now, let's double click into that, Doug. For everybody who's watching right now, Ashton and Ozan and Zeke and CBD and Aswam and Gabriel Rodriguez, they need to figure out how they communicate. Is it painting? Is it talking? Like, I can sit here for the last 6 minutes and paint a very vivid picture through my words that fucking hits. A lot of people can't do that. Others can write a fucking poem that will make all of us cry. I can't do that shit. So the answer is content. The answer is, what websites dominate this device? LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, everything I'm live on right now. And then the variable of success is how you fill it. Like, I can tell everybody right now, being a professional NBA basketball player is a great strategy to make money. Over the next 40 years, if you could be a basketball player, it's a good idea. It's a small team. The TV money is huge. We are all going to see the first $1 billion a year basketball player, probably in the next 20 years, right?
Right.
It's a good idea. The problem is, are you good enough at basketball? I'm given the right advice. The right advice is content every day as much as humanly possible on these platforms. The question is, can you figure out how to be self-aware enough to figure out which platform and how? Written word, audio, video. And then number 2, once you realize, oh, I'm good on video, do you have anything to actually say?
I love that. I love that, because you got to have a why behind everything, and you got to have the how, right? The why creates the how. And
And experience matters, whether it's your life experience, because your story was clearly based on what I'm hearing without knowing every detail. It was raw, it was real, matters. You know, for me, I didn't start talking about business stuff until I was 34. And that meant, you know, realistically, I've been working and doing business for 28 years, conservatively for 16, if you want to talk about profession as a grown-up. But I still believe my baseball card and lemonade stand and shoveling snow. And, you know, my friend Robbie Turnick, big shout out, made me laugh the other day. He's like, you never talk about the story that you're a nice Jewish boy and you forced all of us to go around the neighborhood, ring the doorbell, and sing Christmas carols. I used to literally, as an 8-9-year-old, would ring the doorbell and be like, ma'am, would you like to hear, I would bring my sister and Denise, big shout out Denise Laurie and Robbie Turnick and Michael Bronfman if you're out there, Andy Greco, Luann Greco, Eric Godfrey. I would gather my crew, ring the doorbell and be like, ma'am, would you like to hear a Christmas carol? And literally I was so gangster, I was like, hit it boys, dashing through the snow. Like just fucking, it was in me, you know?
That's awesome, man.
So when I started talking about it, it came from experience, not thoughts, not guessing.
Yeah. I agree. And the last thing I'll say on that is I believe that, at least for me, it was very healing for me to share my story and share my message and realize that there was purpose in my pain. And I think that you can look at pain in two ways. You can look at it in a victim mindset and say, woe is me, or you can say, you know what, this happened for me. I'm going to take the lessons and wisdom that I, you know, gained from this and then serve other people with my message.
And Doug, listen, what you figured out, and kudos to you, is that the shadows are the prison. What, like, you can't imagine how much I hope everybody heard you loud and clear, because for a lot of people right now, making one video saying something they did that was bad or that they're ashamed of, you know, that's why I talk about peeing my bed until I was 11. You know, like, slowly but surely, listen, you know, talking about my true circumstance of, like, you know, it's not fun to talk about, like, you know, struggling in a family business, especially when you love your dad the most, you know? So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I promised my cellmate when I left jail, I said, how can I repay you for helping to save my life? Because he was the guy who trained me in there. And he said, just pay it forward. And I've been on a mission for it's been almost 12 years to pay it forward. So I want to thank you for your time. This has been awesome.
Thanks, Doug.
Appreciate you.
I wish you well.
All right, you too.